The Crossroads Chapter 21. Jamie, a voice asked. Jamie looked up from the pages he had stapled together. Every time he had tried to draw something, the memory of his massacred sketchbook on the bathroom floor came back to haunt him. Do you need a ride home? Mrs. McAllister pulled out her phone from her jeans pocket. It's almost 5. Is your brother coming? His brain clicked back to reality. I don't know. He might not know he needs to pick me up. Mies checked her phone again before glancing around the office. Teachers aren't illegally allowed to drive students without permission. Tomas won't mind, I promise. Jamie grabbed his things and stood by her side. He lets Angela ride home with boys he doesn't know. Good enough. Then he turned to the receptionist and spoke in English. Jamie just got a text from his brother that asked if I could take him home. I don't mind. The receptionist didn't even challenge the statement. Thank goodness I didn't want to stay late. Mies waved to the receptionist and led the way to her car as she whispered, Please text your brother and tell him I'm bringing you home. I don't want to be a complete liar. Right. Jamie had forgotten he had a phone and that texts went through better than calls at the ranch. He also had forgotten he didn't really know how to use a phone. It took several tries to get a correct screen up for messages, then a few more to insert Tomas's name from the address book. When he finally got to the body of the text, they were at Mises' car, a green hatchback with bumper stickers covering the rear. Keep calm and rock on. Listen and the world sings. And one he didn't understand that said, Treble Maker. He got in and fastened his seatbelt before composing the text. Thankfully, Tomas also set the phone with Spanish text prediction. The music teacher, he didn't know how to spell Mises' name, is bringing me home. See you soon. It took a few more seconds to figure out how to send it. The phone buzzed and beeped a few seconds later, causing him to jump in place. He opened the message. Great, see you soon. The school's voice messages obviously hadn't gone through yet, just as well. If he told Tomas in person what had happened, while Mises remained next to him, he hoped his brother wouldn't be too mad. Can you give me directions? Mises asked as she flipped through her phone's playlist to find Latin jazzy one. I think so. They might have missed the turn if a white car covered in dirt and dust hadn't been pulled out of a ranch road. Angela's friends. For once, they had made themselves useful. Turn here, Jamie pointed. As they drove down the track, Jamie squeezed his sweaty palms. By now, Tomas had gotten the school's message. Sure enough, Tomas exited the trailer with Angela and Vida as the car rolled up. Jamie half expected Mr. George and Donna Chichi to come out and scold him too. So, how's my little delinquent brother? Tomas teased, or pretended to tease. Jamie couldn't tell. Tomas gave Mies a big smile, and she got out of the car. We've met. Is it Mrs. McAllister? He said this in Spanish, which Jamie saw as a good sign. If Tomas had wanted to talk about him, he would have addressed Mies in English. Ms. McAllister shook Tomas's hand with a smile back. Outside of school, you can call me Jen. Like Jennifer Lopez? Angela's eyes widened as she sent a sly look over at Tomas. No, like Genevieve McAllister. The music teacher reached down to pet Vida, who immediately covered her knees and hands in kisses. The dog always knew who to trust. My family is Scottish, not Hispanic. There were a few Scottish settlers in Guatemala, Jamie said, making his teacher back home proud of having paid attention. And your Spanish is perfect, so you could be Latina. Mies laughed. Thank you. I'm glad you think so. And you're Angela. Jamie talks about you all the time. And Tomas, was it? Tomas grinned wider. Jamie grinned at his teacher, too. She knew his brother's real name. Even when they had met on the first day of school, Tomas had introduced himself as Tom. So, Tomas continued after a few seconds of awkward silence. Tell me exactly what my brother did. Were you there? No, I just found him in the office and felt bad for him. He does look pretty pitiful, especially with that purple nose. Tomas turned to him and waited. At least Tomas seemed to be in a good mood. Since Don was detained, Tomas had spent most of the time overworked and stressed. Jamie sighed and told the story in one breath. A boy in my class stole my sketchbook and destroyed it. When I found it in the bathroom, I tried to hit him. I got the side of his head and he got my nose. He left out the other, more devastating details, like the condition in which he had found the sketchbook. I never thought you'd hit anyone, but I know how much your sketchbook means to you. I'm sorry it happened. Tomas put his hand on his brother's shoulder. If he'd been mad, even if he was hiding it, he would never have done that. I have a form for you to sign, and then they're making me stay home for school tomorrow, Jamie admitted. Best let the rest out. I got 1 day, the other boy got the whole week. Which boy was this? Mies asked. Jamie shook his head. As much as he hated Diego, he wasn't going to rat him out. Mies crossed her arms and gave him I'm a teacher and I expect an answer look. We have regular teacher meetings and we will be discussing problems we're having with our students. I'm going to find out anyway. Was it Diego? Jamie nodded. We might not rat him out, but he wasn't going to lie to protect the jerk either. I've heard the things he says about you when he thinks I'm not listening. As a music teacher, I'm good at picking up voices people don't think I can hear. I don't blame you for hitting him. If someone deliberately destroyed my music, I'd probably be in prison. The dreaded P word brought another awkward silence, and this time it was Angela who changed the subject. In English, of course. What musical instrument do you play? Jamie gave her a look, but Mrs. McAllister replied in Spanish. Drums, pretty much everything, except maybe the diggeradoo. They all laughed except Jamie. What's that? He asked. It's a joke, Angela explained. What is it? He demanded. Why was Angela being so annoying and superior? Mies placed a hand on his shoulder. A diggeradoo is an instrument Australian Aborigines play, made from an empty tree. Historically, women aren't allowed to play it. I didn't know that part, Tomas said. I just thought the name was funny. Yes, it is funny, Angela agreed. But at least she was sticking to Spanish now. And I'm in the Sound of Music at high school, and we're looking for a person to play the Austrian horn. Could that be you? Mies raised her eyebrows. The Alpenhorn? I've never tried, but I can play the trumpet, so it can't be too difficult. Is Luis Padilla directing that? Mr. Padilla, yes. He's my friend Tristan's dad. Angela jumped up and down as if she just realized that Mies could be the bridesmaid for her and Tristan's wedding gag. If you're in the play as well, maybe we should get your autograph now, before you're famous and all. Tomas winked and pulled out his phone to give to Mies. Mies played along and used her finger to autograph the screen. Who says? I'm not famous right now. She once played with Elvis Presley, Jamie repeated a rumor he remembered hearing. Mies groaned and shook her head. Is that story still going around? Tomas raised an eyebrow as he looked her up and down. I admit, you look really good for your age. Mies sat her pink leopard spotted shoes in a wide stance and held her arms out in presentation. I know, right? Elvis Presley died like over 40 years ago, Angela explained. But the kids in school said, once again, Jamie didn't get the joke. Mies set a hand on Jamie's shoulder. I made up that rumor when I started teaching. I looked very young, and some kids even thought I was an overgrown 8th grader. So I said I used to play with Elvis so kids would think I was older. Well, in that case, Ms. Presley, I think we'll have to ask you to stay for dinner. Tomas bowed and pointed over to the trailer. Are you a good cook? She asked with her own raised eyebrow. Tomas rolled his eyes. No, but the microwave is. Mies McAllister laughed again. Sure, why not? We have food? Jamie muttered to his brother and received a sharp poke in the ribs in return. Angela's eyes suddenly widened as she grabbed his hand and lunged them toward the trailer. Jamie, quick! What's up? He asked Angela and pulled him to the steps inside. I just realized we've got about 15 seconds to clean this place before she comes in. Jamie looked at the unmade bed, the dishes in the sink, and the dog hair covering the floor. Why, it's just Mies McAllister. You're so clueless. Take the bedroom. 10 seconds. Now. When Angela got into those moods, it was almost best to do what she said. Jamie gathered up the dirty shirts, socks, and underwear on the floor and lifted the spring to shove them under the bed. He gave the blanket a good shake and draped it over the pillows. He pushed Tomas's belt out of sight with a nudge of his foot just as the door opened. Angela leapt into the tiny bathroom and latched the door, leaving a whiff of cleaning products in the kitchen. In 10 seconds, she had put the dishes away, cleared the table of school books, and propped 2 decorative pillows on the bench where they would eat. The dog hair, though, remained at their feet. Mies McAllister ducked through the doorway after Tomas, even though she wasn't that tall. From where she stood, she could see the whole trailer, the kitchen area in front, the bedroom to the right, and the main area to the left. Angela came out of the bathroom next to the door, trying to hide the cleaning products behind her back. I'm impressed, Mies said. So? Tomas clapped his hands. What do you like? Meat, beans, rice, potatoes, salad? Mies shrugged. I eat anything. Good, because we don't allow picky eaters in this house, Tomas repeated, what Abuela always said. Can I help? Mies asked. There's not really enough room. Tomas waved her to sit at the bench, and even then the trailer felt cramped. He lifted the counter that covered the stove, which left only the counter over the sink for prep. Tomas put a couple of packets of instant rice in a bowl and was about to put it in the microwave when Angela grabbed it from his hands and added 2 cubes of chicken bouillon to the water. There wasn't any salad. Tomas said that was rabbit food. But in some secret corner, he discovered a can of mixed peas, green beans, carrots, corn, that judging by the dust on the lid had probably been in the trailer before he moved in. On the stove, which Tomas only used when they wanted burnt food, Tomas placed ground beef patties for frying in a pan and shook out beans seasoned over top. The smell actually made Jamie's mouth water. Why had Tomas never made them burgers before? He asked Donna Chichi for cooking tips when you said the music teacher was bringing you home, Angela whispered in his ear, as if she'd been reading his mind. Bet he wishes he weren't here, ruining his date. What date? Jamie asked. Angela used her chin to point to his brother. Okay, Tomas offered Mies a beer, which he gladly accepted. Jamie still didn't get it. They ate overdone, but still tasty burgers, without buns, chicken-flavored rice, and canned vegetables. For dessert, Tomas found mystery-flavored lollipops in his truck that he'd gotten free at the bank. After dinner, upon Tomas's request, Mies pulled a clarinet from her car and played. Angela insisted rather forcefully that Jamie not join her on the recorder. Not that he could have in a million years. Jamie had never heard her play, other than a demo bars of a song during class. But it turned out she should be in an orchestra in a big fancy city without sheet music. She could play the melody of Star Wars and Edelweiss, a weird, slow song Angela picked, and a tribute to her former bandmate, and Vita, Hound Dog, by Elvis Presley. I better get going, he said after playing 6 or 7 songs. Unlike some people here, I have to go to school tomorrow. Thanks for bringing me home, Mies, Jamie said. Yes, thank you, Tomas said. Jamie would have gotten scared if he had to go to sleep at school. Jamie gave his brother a shove. He once slept underneath an abandoned car. The school couldn't have been nearly as bad. Mies tucked the clarinet back in its case and pulled out her phone. Why don't you give me your number so the next time Jamie gets in trouble, I know who to blame. Oi, Jamie complained, and then complained some more when Angela gave her ribs a hard nudge. Still, the adults exchanged numbers as if they really did expect Jamie to get in trouble again, though he supposed if he did get in trouble, it would be good to have Mies around, just in case.